from any of you? Any questions through your reading materials that you have? Any comments that you have had as you were doing your business plan, as you were looking at some of your personality types, and even your why? Anyone, please. Don't be shy.
I didn't do the business plan because I don't know what it's all about. But I had a go at the personality tests and was trying to do the 5 whys, and then I gave up.
Okay. So what do you get your insights in terms of your personality tests?
It was all over the place. It looks like I get it. My anxiety level it's a bit high, and it brought the compassionate side of me out. And
okay, nice.
Yeah. So those are the 2 things I looked at.
Okay. Do you think there's any insight through the results in terms of what you're going to do for this particular course, in terms of your idea and in terms of your way forward? Is there an action plan, or is there something that you would love to do based on what you have from the results?
To be honest with you, I haven't thought about it, because I was like, oh, really? Is that me? Really? Maybe I didn't answer the question properly. Maybe I should go back and do it again.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. So if you, the personality test will give you a bit of insight into your own personality. Anyone else that did the personality, and any other insights that you have? If you have not, sorry.
No, I haven't done a personality test. I only did business plan. That's it, unfortunately.
Okay. No problem. So Balu, what insights did you have when you were doing the business plan, Balu?
Okay, I found that business plan is not easy. That's for sure.
Of course, yeah.
2 is like when I start writing each box, answering each questions in the business plan, I realize long way to go, and I need definitely help from different variety of teachers like you guys. And I thought like, start something, just think about, start and just go continue it. No, that's not the actually case, I realize. So there's a lot to think, a lot to consider.
Yeah,
when you want to do something. Yes. Also, like I think everything structured and practically procedural with a proper framework is better. So we need to know that. So I think good that we coming with a fresh mind without any knowledge and experience. I'm not shy, but I think definitely challenging people like me, but good opportunity to learn, put it into practical and implement it. And one more thing I found myself is that I should not ignore this. I didn't ignore because of my full-time work. Sure. I never spend enough time, but that I think is not good. I have to spend time. Now I realize that I have to allocate at least 5 to 10 hours a week for this particular, program which I'm committed. I have to commit. Sadly, I have to agree that I did 0 contribution this week, even though I completed business plan, some roughly, but I would put myself as I haven't spent any time for this. But what my decision is, I have to spend time, at least 5 hours a week, maybe more.
Yeah.
And I need to serious about this. Sure. Not just for coming and sitting in this Zoom class, just attending and just forget about and come back next Wednesday. No, I should not do that.
No.
But anyway, I'm going out of the box. Sorry. That is other
no problems.
I am actually. Thank you.
I just add something there, if I could. Guys, great work for putting time and effort into it. It is a long process, and you're right in what we're trying to do in this 8 weeks is provide a framework that you can work with us to get you to the stage where you're comfortable to take your business to the next level, or even start from an idea to starting the business. So I'll pass it back on to you, Patrick.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have just a question on the personality test. I clicked on the link, and then it say no registration required, and it's totally safe. And I was just a bit wondering that is it the safe site? What the other person at the other end is collecting the things about me or profiling me, or I wasn't sure. So I was not afraid of the result of the personality test, but I was just afraid of the security and what they are collecting as a part of that whole process. So wasn't sure. Yeah.
Sure, that's fine. And look, if you're not comfortable, then that's fine. It's just a tool for you to to understand a bit about yourself. No you can use any other tools anyway. No, it's just a self-realization. Okay, Andres.
I just wanted to mention that I did my personality test, and I believe it is a great tool because it doesn't require any data, any personal data. They don't require your name, mobile, or email. So it's like you don't need to leave any details, but just the responses. And I got the results, and I guess it comes down to self-awareness, and it really matches the perception that I have of myself that I've been working throughout my years of knowing myself and potentializing my strengths instead of leveling up my weaknesses. I just want to potentialize my strengths and find a maybe business partner who can complement the side, and then it's easier to do business. So I think it was a really cool platform. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Andres. And that's the idea here. It's basically a couple of questions here. Comments. What we're giving you are kind of building blocks, and really, we would really hope that you can kind of spend a bit more time, like what Basil said in this. And Andres, I really like your idea about your comment about self-realization, because you're right. The weaknesses that you have will need to be complemented by someone else so that you guys will be a stronger team. You know what I mean? So good that you have brought it up. But anyone else before I move on? Okay, thank you. So the next slide is basically a question that I would like to pose to you. Is this: why are we doing this? What's your revenue model? So again, these are just a good example of let me just okay. What are you good at? Which is your personality? Which is your strength? What do you love to do? What money you're going to earn, and what the world needs. So as you look at your idea, I want you to think about the intersection between all of these, because you may have an idea right now that will say, okay, great, I love to do this. But the question then becomes, are you going to earn some money out of it? What's your revenue model? If you're going to do an idea which basically say, I love to do this, but I don't worry about money, then it is your passion, right? And that's fine. Or you want to do it as your calling, okay? But if you say, look, I'm going to transition to this idea as a full-time job some down the track, then we need to think about, okay, the middle part here, the Ikigai purpose, okay, whereby all of these four intersections meet, okay? So I want you to think about it, see, throughout this course, to say your why. Why are we doing this? And the intersection here is this: as you kind of work through your idea, and we can help you work through this idea. Okay, so think about it from the perspective of: are you going to make money? Are you not going to make money? Are you going to do your calling? Is it going to be a passion? Is it going to be a good job, or just an opportunity for service to the community? Okay, so just have a think around that. Another thing that I want you to think about as you look at your idea is that, are you going to do a B2B or B2C model? Because there are two different approaches, and that will impact pretty much in terms of your way you transact, or the way that you interact with those people. And as you do your test of your project, a test of your idea, dealing with B2B and B2C can be whether it's a customer or whether it is individual. Really, it is quite different in that sense. So there are different kind of approaches as you look at B2C or B2B model. Sorry, I think there's some questions. Is there anyone wanting to ask a question?
No.
Okay, because I've got something flashing and I can't see what's going on. Okay. The next slide and is one of your optional reading materials is this: why startup fails, and there are quite a number of studies that was done, and this is one of the main study that was done, and it shows that there are two or the top three basically reasons why startup fails or why businesses fails is number one, you run out of cash, right? You run out of cash, and the question then becomes how are you going to fund your idea. You can bootstrap it. You can use your current salary to pay some of the work that is done. But again, you need to think about are you going to do this business as a passion and you don't worry about money because you've got other sources of income, or you're going to rely on your business for cash later on down the track once you get up starting. So have a think about this. Number two is no market need. Sometimes for those who don't have an idea yet or do not have a business that's running, the question for you is that who's going to buy your product? Who are your customers that's going to be able or willing to open their wallets and give you the cash later on? So if you are doing something that you are passionate about and you really don't care whether it's a market, then that's fine. But if you're thinking about, okay, how can I make a living out of this down the track, then you need to think about your customers and the need that there is a need, that someone's going to buy your product or services down the track. And number three is basically you got outcompete, i.e. there are people who has already got your idea and they have done it better than you. So you're kind of competing with others. So I'm just going to give you this, and the slides will be given to you later anyway. So these are the 12 reasons for failure. If you have time, just kind of go through them and to try to avoid them, try to mitigate those risks, like, talking about flawed business model. And that's why we kind of get you to do your business model upfront. There's some regulatory and legal challenges, and we have got a bit of, we are going to talk about some of these challenges later on. Pricing, which is your next module, pricing costs. So do come for session 3, and the rest, something that we can touch on as we go around this course. Any questions that you have on this slide, please? Any comments?
Well, interesting to see no market need.
It is. So please think about, your own idea. If you don't have any, think about how you want to basically bring that idea to life and to think about your whys of doing that. Okay. So again, part of the business plan, we're going to kind of talk a bit about your market, where you're in, looking at it. So this is the part of the business plan that we are kind of focusing on. How do you make money? Remember, there's a question there, right? What does your business offer? What needs fixing and what are the challenges? So basically, what needs fixing here is a problem. One of the things I always ask entrepreneurs like yourself when I ask them is, what's the problem that you're trying to solve, right? What is the pain point of your customer that you're trying to solve? Don't go into solution mode. We humans tend to go into solution mode, but stand back and always ask, what's the problem you're trying to solve, which is this question here: what needs fixing, and how are you going to make money if you are going to make money? Okay, so always think about these kind of questions as you go along, but also look at the question of what makes you better than them, your value proposition. Okay, so if there are competitors in your market, the question for you is this: is my product or my service better than others? Can I do it better? Is there a unique proposition associated with my idea? right? You want to differentiate, and that's what strategy is all about. We want to make sure that you are unique to the market. You are unique to your the people that you're trying to serve, the industry that you're in. But you don't want to be too unique that you are so unique that you are the only one standing. Okay, so you need to be careful, because you can be doing something so unique that there's no competition. But no competition doesn't mean it's great, in a sense that if you are the only one, then why are you the only one there? Okay, so always think about it from the market perspective. Sid, I'll just pass it time to you to explain this interesting diagram.
Yeah, and thanks, Patrick. And I might add to that value proposition bit. There's a few ways that you can be better than your competitors, and a lot of businesses, for the first time, they always think about price. I'm going to be cheaper. I'm going to be cheaper than the market, which is a problem, because I myself have been in that problem. And the reason why, if you try to undercut your markets, they've already set a price with a margin, like a profit margin there. So if you set it too low, you might get a lot of customers, but you're not going to make any money, because all the money that you get are going to your expenses. So you might have a lot of customers, a lot of pain, a lot of like problems, but at the end of the day, there's not profit going into your pocket. So you need to consider what does make you better. Usually it's about quality. I'm going to provide the best, quality out there. I'm going to be faster than everyone else. That's why one of the reasons Amazon became so huge. They flipped the idea of being able to receive same day deliveries. Back in the day, it was like 2 weeks, a month. So what can you do better? Another one is experience. So maybe you make the customer feel better than your competitors. So just some things to think about, and we can explore that further in the breakout rooms. So thinking about your markets, this slide in front of you, it's important to figure out how big your market is, because if, as to Patrick's point, if you're the only person in that market, there might be a reason, because there's no one going to buy from you, right? So it's like you can create the greatest new product, but if there's no one there, no one's going to buy it. So you're not going to make any money. There's 3 types of markets, and it's this picture is like an iceberg. So starting at the bottom, the total addressable market, that represents the entire opportunity of revenue. So say we're an accounting practice. I'll use my business as a example. Pop business is in tax and accounting, right? What is the global accounting and tax market worth? It's in the tens or hundreds of billions, right? So that's the total addressable market, but that's not the market that I'll be trying to get. So now you break that even further, you go further up closer to the water. What is the serviceable addressable market? So we're based in Australia. So I'm going to be mostly focused within the Australian market. And so there's 2 million small businesses. They roughly spend around, a couple grand a year for their tax and compliance. So that's, $4 billion of Australian revenue. But then what is so that's the serviceable addressable market, but what is obtainable? So that's the next level up. That's what you see above the water. Serviceable, obtainable market. Who is my customer base? Who am I really trying to get out of that 4 billion? So it's mostly focused on micro to small businesses and startups and mostly compliance, not too much advisory. So that shrinks the addressable market, my obtainable market, down to maybe a few hundred million, as an example. So if how this applies to you is think about like what is your business, what is the total market, and then figure out what is your niche, so that you can say there's 10,000 in my serviceable, obtainable market, and how am I going to get those 10,000 people? Maybe your objective is to get 10% of market share. So how are you going to get those 1,000 people to be customers of yours? And that's important to think when you're pitching to an investor or getting capital. Like, they want to know how big is the opportunity and how big is the opportunity that you can get. So yeah, that's that slide. Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks, Sid. So let's move on from that. We're going to talk a bit about testing and validating your idea with stakeholders. I know some of you have your own business and you want to look at it from an expansion perspective. Some of you are in the idea stage. So let me just go through very quickly some of the testing mechanisms that you can have. So for example, you can do a proof of concept, right? You can think about an idea. There's no customers involved. You want to check out whether this works in the market. So you can do a working concept. For example, I'll give an example there. You can do a working concept of an electrical device by constructing a breadboard. That's how the electrical guys do the testing, right? They just put it into the board and they just kind of work through that. And so you can do a proof of concept there. The other way is to do a minimum viable test. So minimum viable test really talks about hypothesis. You are making certain hypothesis about your particular idea or your project or your product or service. You want to test a specific hypothesis that's relating to you. So what are the assumptions? You can kind of test certain assumptions that you have made. And so this idea about Maven here, I've just given an example here. And so they kind of look at it. Okay, these are value proposition. The promise is to make a platform of courses. And they look at what are the risks associated with it, and says that the risk is that people are not willing to pay 10 times more for a cohort-based course. And what they did was they did a test. They call it the atomic unit test, and they look at it from the perspective of just specifically a cohort-based course. And they did a quick test associated with this particular assumption that they have. Okay, so you may want to take your idea and you kind of look at it and say, all right, which part of my idea that I want to test the hypothesis of? So that gives you a bit of a test, but it's not going to test the whole thing all at once. Okay, so you just take parts of your test, your idea, and you kind of break it down into certain hypotheses or assumptions or certain components, and you kind of test it as you go along. The other part is a minimum viable product, and the famous ones that we have, one that we have seen is Amazon. You know, you kind of think back of it is that they started small. They started off as just buying books, right? They want to disrupt the books industry, and so they started off with an online bookstore. At the time, people were not very, haven't seen an online bookstore before, and they started off with an online bookstore, and throughout time they just added on more products because they just got a whole infrastructure in place for it. So the key point to note here is that don't bite the whole elephant all at once, right? You don't kind of build Amazon as is today in all one go. You kind of start small. You kind of focus on a particular target market. So if your product can basically can be used by, let's say, 4 or 5 target audience, you just have to pick one of the customer base and then work slowly and do it well, do that small little target audience first, or doing a small little product or service first. And then once you do it well, you get enough customers for that small area, then you kind of build it up as you go along, which is what Amazon did. They started off with an online bookstore. They did very well, and then they started adding on new products as we go along. And they even add on Amazon data center, right? They also did the IT stuff down the track. So again, do start small. Don't bite off the whole elephant all at once. So you need to kind of think about how do you prepare for change. There's some frameworks that Monica will touch on now. Monica, you want to just jump in and just look at it, and Monica will just go through a methodology that you can use, which is very important or very timely as you go through this process.
Thank you, Patrick. So I've been working on agile methodologies, and I've been a senior change practitioner. So I'm actually a big fan of it. And I think anywhere, whether it's your personal situation, your professional, or you're starting something new. I think this really, really fits in because the kind of world that we live in nowadays is actually VUCA, which is, yes, volatile. And what better than an example of a pandemic that we are living in. So on one side, yes, it's pandemic and, it has given us grief, but on the other side, it also opens up a lot of opportunities. It's kind of resetting your thinking, resetting the world, and there are a plethora of opportunities you can look at. Why I wanted to talk about Agile is because Agile wonderful methodologies, which is telling that everything is iterative. So it's not that, gone are the days when I'm not sure if you've known about another methodology, which was a waterfall methodology, wherein when you are preparing for a change or, a new product or, you're becoming an entrepreneur, you're testing your ideas. And then what you do is you, first of all, do R&D, spend all the money, make a product, and then just try to kind of put it in the market when you have already spent so much of money. But that's no more. I mean, it's an agile world, and how we work in agile is just testing and learning. It's not that, and I always, I really happen to tell to my kids also that it's not that, you definitely need to pass your school and your college and what you want to do. But, in terms of, you don't need any degree as such to be, a great entrepreneur or do something what your passion is all about, because it's all about planning it. It's all about running it, and run in small chunks and then quickly evaluate and see where you have made mistakes. It's rather than just doing everything end to end. It's just, testing it in small chunks. So in our program or project language, we use a language of sprints, which is nothing and tells like, just plan for 2 weeks. What are you going to accomplish in those 2 weeks? And just see if it's working. Similarly, your idea, your proposals, just see how is it. You can set particular time for you, but do not just invest all your energy, spend everything, and then say, oh, it actually failed. So basically, do in smaller chunks, test it, see what are the improvement opportunities so that you can quickly go back. Next slide, said if you can. Patrick, is that is with you?
Down. Sorry, let me just try to do this.
Technical glitches to happen.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so like I spoke about Agile, the other framework that I really follow, and you won't believe in my change when I deliver change, and I've been leading lots of change in being in Westpac. So I always keep in mind that people understand simple things. If you kind of put a lot of glamour, jazzy, that's good to present, but what your mind can digest is very, very simple things. And when you are actually bringing up a change, then this is one of the methodology you can always follow. It's called as EDCAR, which means is that if you're thinking of bringing a change, if you're thinking of starting your own business, you're thinking of an idea, then first of all, you really need to create an awareness about that idea. Again, it's linking back to Agile. So you really need to create an awareness to actually see your market, actually see whether you really have customers for that, whether it's a bit of unique, are you really different? Create that awareness, especially when we are living in this social media world, in this virtual world. Nobody can, say that the social media is not powerful. It's so powerful, your Insta, your Facebook, your Twitter. So I think these are all awareness mechanism. And then just see, test it in a small market and create that desire. Like, why will a person come and buy your product or take your service? What is that you can do to create that desire? Then is, if okay, there can be a desire, then is building knowledge about that particular product or service among people so that people know it. Okay, this is something that product, and then this is the knowledge about it. And then A is ability and to act upon that. So it's actionability, which means, okay, I have the knowledge about it, but then do I really have the strength, or do I know exactly how to act on it. That means in our world, when we are saying entrepreneur, does people have really that knowledge about your product? Will they really pay? Will they act on it? No, we really, if they will do, if they have enough awareness, if they have that right set of desire, if they really have that knowledge, then yes, ability or action. And never underestimate reinforcement, because, people, you can float the idea, but then there needs to be continuous promotion, continuous marketing, because, people tend to fall back to original. So basically, it's like your muscle memory. So you tend to fall back to the same movement again. So the most important thing is creating a lot of reinforcement through promotion. So I think this is one of the methodology I wanted to touch upon, which I see fitting in every environment. So I just want to end by saying that this world is actually full of a lot of possibilities and countless opportunities. It's how an individual want to make a mark on the world. So that is limited. Time is limited. So we have to really judiciously think about what do I really want to do, which can make a mark, on the market. So yeah, so that's all from my side.
Thanks, Monica.
Thanks, Patrick.
So I just want to ask you, we're going to do some breakout rooms, and the rest of this today's session is going to be looking at testing and validating your ideas. And just before we run to the breakout rooms, let me just pass the time to Sid, just to give you a bit of an idea in terms of the pitch night criteria. Sid, over to you, please.
Thanks, Patrick. So as you all know, at the end of the 8-week program, everyone will have the opportunity, or a chance, to pitch during the Fishburners pitch night. Usually there's around 100 people that show up, a mixture of people in the startup industry, mentors, possible investors, but just people that you can make some good contacts with. So in order to, if you're interested to pitch that night, not everyone needs to pitch, but I think we're going to have around 5 to 7 pitches, and we'll confirm that closer to the date. How we'll choose who pitches? Basically, whoever has the best crafted pitch, and we'll test that from week 7 and start preparing from week 6, so that you can practice a 2 to 5 minute pitch. We'll let you know the length of time, and also share materials to help you craft it. Also considering the people that put in the most effort and consideration into their business idea and the pitch. So we'll assess you on that. And I just want to make sure that you know that business life stage is not important. So it doesn't matter if you don't have your first customer, or if you have 100 customers, or you're more mature. Really, it's like we want you to have the opportunity to pitch to a new audience, and hopefully get people interested in your business and your idea, and hopefully you can make new contacts as well. So that's why we want you to structure and think about the pitch, and reach out to entrepreneur@opportunitiesaustralia.org.au by email. Reach out to us individually if you like as well. We're all here to help.
Thanks, Sid. Okay, so before we jump into the outcomes of the discussion, and I realize that I've been talking to you all, but just to give you a bit of space to think and ask questions. Is there any question that you guys have, any clarification that you have in terms of the materials presented so far? Anyone, please? Thoughts, reflections? All good?
Awesome. Let's go into the breakout rooms.
Yeah, just hang on. Yeah, before you go into breakout rooms, you would have got the invitation. But I just want to, how we have structured the discussion groups is this, that we have structured you into 2 groups. One is with existing business, and one group is basically you're still deciding what to do. So for the group that is looking at existing business, and I know some of you would have, I've seen the list, some of you have your own business, you have got your clients. So the question then becomes, what's your why? What are you going to do with your existing business, your existing clients? Think about income stream diversification, for example. Where are you going to think about in terms of your next steps? How you're going to grow your business? I know some of you may be thinking about marketing. The next stage of your product base. What can you offer? What are products and services, complementary ones that you can put onto your platform or your offering? But I know some of you may be struggling with your business, for example, and you're wondering where are the customers coming from, why are they not buying, and so you may want to think about that. Also, you may also want to think about competitiveness and how can we create a better offering for your customer base. What are your unique offering that you can then start to build up? Remember the example of Amazon, started off with a bookstore, but they then build up into different offerings, and now they are moving into transportation. They are moving into, they have moved into the IT services. So if you've got a successful business, small business so far, and you've got some products and services, how can you increase it? Let me challenge you to also think about doing something like, as you sell your products, you can actually, you don't have to be there all the time. You can sell ebooks, for example. You can sell a course, for example. So you can even buy stuff. You can do affiliate marketing. That's another example. So think about how you can improve or how can you grow your existing income stream through diversification or through a bit of an innovation, or how can you change your ideas a bit more to make it a bit more appealing to a different group of customers. For those who are still deciding in terms of your business, what do you do? Is basically you need to get one idea, one customer group, and run with it. I'm going to be in that group. I'm going to challenge you to think about action steps after today. I don't want you to leave without understanding what you need to do after this, because time is quite short. And so that's what Sid say, once the pitch night is coming, you need to be prepared for it. So I want you to think about how you're going to make money, if at all. What are your testing methods? Who are you going to talk to? Are you going to use surveys? Who's your target audience? Is it a B2B or B2C model that you're thinking about? And I want you to validate your test results and action steps over the next couple of weeks. So these are the some of the things I want you to think about. Any questions before we break up? And in terms of the tasks or the ask of the tasks ahead of you, are you guys clear in terms of what we wanted you to think about during the breakout rooms? Or any comments, questions, clarifications, please, from the group? Any questions in terms of what we want you to think about? What you want you to discuss in the breakout rooms? Okay, sorry. Is anyone want to? Okay, so you would have got your breakout room notification popping up in front of you. We're going to now, let me look at the time, it's 6:20. We have, which is great time. We're going to spend we're going to come back here. We got until 7:30. So what we'd love you to do is to spend an hour or so. So we come back here at about 7:10, about 7:10. If you can wrap up the conversation about 7:10, and we can then come back and then we can kind of debrief, that'd be good. Is that all right? Until 7:10. I would love everyone in the group to be given a chance to talk about their ideas, talk about their proposals, ask the mentors in your group in terms of questions that you have, and then we can try to help you from there. All right. So
thank you, Patrick.
Kumar, you want to say something?
No. I was just saying thank you.
No
if
problem.
that is all, everyone would go into the breakout room.
Yep,
people have already gone there.
Yeah, 7:10, we come back. Mentors, please take note. 7:10, wrap it up, and then come back to the main room, and then we can debrief. and perhaps go through a particular example or two, depending on time wise. So, yep, enjoy your discussion with your mentors in those breakout rooms, and I'll see you back here at 7:10.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Short course on how to handle an anxiety while waiting for the time period for the psychologist or the psychiatric. So I think that would be multiple source of income, and also there's going to be data collection. It's going to be a focus on the program as well, because after the data collection, then we can use an algorithm to make some predictions and recommendations, like with further information to the medical practitioners.
And how will you make sure what is the right price for this one? And what is there some kind of research already done about it? That what's the right price, and how are you going to price it and promote it in the market?
There are, I think, two companies. One of them in the UK, one of them Australian company. They're charging between $15 to $20 a month per GP. Actually pretty good to help them to save 20-30 minutes of each consultation. So in terms of pricing, I guess is an affordable product for the GPs, or even for the parents who have a child or someone who is suffering from a mental health illness that wants to keep on track the results and want to access valuable information and back academic research back information, how to handle or how to cope with distress.
I would suggest looking into whether your business will be B2B. So you're going to go B2B to C, which is like you to the GPs to the customer, or if you're going to go directly to the consumer, B2C. There will be pros and cons, which you'll need to identify. Going straight to a business, they'll find customers for you. So it'll be a different challenge. Your challenge there will be trying to get as many GPs on your book as possible, and offer them a service that is better than any other competitors. Maybe you just have a better service. Something to think about.
I'm just going to put an example out there. And let's say a family has a 10-year-old child. The child is suffering from ADHD. They take him to the GP, and then our platform will help the GP to do the diagnosis. And then the GP will pay for the services. But beyond that, we are also offering short courses on how to heal an ADHD brain based on the research that Dr. Daniel Amen, which is one of the most famous psychiatrists in the world, has done. And then we will do two different services, one for the GP to do the diagnosis and save time, and one for the parent to help the child to recover in the waiting period while the child is seen by a psychologist or psychiatric. So I think that would be B2B and B2C, but they are two different products that are in conjunction in a system.
And I'd advise, because as an entrepreneur, we want to do all these things because we want to hedge our bets. And, sometimes you have to be really brutal and really crucial, you have a limited time. So and if you split your focus, it can slow you down. So might be easier just focus on this one side and make sure if it doesn't work, then you can try the other side. But if it works, that you put all your effort in. I know how appealing it is in your mind to think I can do both. Right? It's very, very appealing, but just have a think.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that advice. Yeah, 100%.
Well,
cool.
Thanks. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you get everyone to introduce themselves already? Did I miss that part?
No. We started with Sanjeev, and by the time I couldn't even see so many people on this. So I think it's a good idea. We can start now.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming for session 2. I want to use this breakout time for you to ask questions about the homework, what you found useful, what you didn't find useful. Like we said earlier, we're just trying to provide a framework which gets more complex as we go on, so that people that with just an idea, but people that already have an existing business can come along for the ride. So,
but something that you're good at, and that's the reason why you've gone into business for this particular thing, right? The thing about going into business is that you have to wear all of the hats. You have to wear the sales hat, the marketing hat, the finance hat, as well as the hat of the thing that you're good at. And one of the things that these kind of personality tests can help you with is helping you kind of recognize the fact that you aren't going to be good at all of those different aspects. You will need help in some of those aspects. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody that will be able to wear all of the hats with equal sufficiency. So actually understanding what you're good at, what your strengths are, and where you might need help as you launch the business is really, really important. Because the other thing to bear in mind as well is that you can't ignore any of the hats. So, I've worked with people that come from a marketing background. They'll spend all their time thinking about the marketing of the product, but they won't spend any time thinking about the structure and how to deliver the product and how to do sales and all of those kind of things. So actually being aware of all of those hats and kind of that's where the personality test can be really helpful is really important. So I think it's good. It's good for that, and don't get too off-put as well in terms of the anxieties or the fears that you have in terms of going into business, because that's what this structure is trying to help you to do, to actually kind of break down each piece of this process so that you can become more familiar with each piece of that process. And so on one hand, that will allay the fears, hopefully, because it becomes a bit more understandable and it becomes a bit more manageable when everything's kind of broken down. But also kind of managing that comfort with anxiety and comfort with the uncomfortable and the newness is something that, will be a part of this journey if you start your own business. And, that point at which you leap from having a steady job, what is the right way for you personally to do that is something that you'll explore as part of this process as well. Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
Cool. All right. So in terms of, we've got a little bit of time. So we've got kind of time to really kind of get into each individual's kind of idea and where you're at with that idea and kind of what you want to explore next. And it'd be really helpful if, we make it a bit of an interactive session as well. So if we go through with each individual person, if anybody else has got questions for that person in terms of how their product might work or what they're looking to do, please chip in. You're the test market now, the first consumer test of this idea. And as you're explaining your idea, please, feel very comfortable about sharing your ideas in here. It's all very confidential. That's part of the premise of these sessions is that your ideas are treated with confidentiality. And also, feel free to kind of speak your mind. And there are no silly questions or silly ideas. Balu?
Sorry, Michelle. Whenever I'm allowed to ask, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. See, I came up with an idea which I have in my mind for a few years, but I never put my step forward to give it a go, a start. But finally this year, after I think I would say more than 10 years, ended up coming across this advertisement through WhatsApp group in Sydney, and I registered. My question is, always in my mind have IT business, started IT business. But when I heard that recent slide from Patrick, I think, why the startup failed, which is the second point, no market need.
Yeah.
There are plenty of companies. My question is here, I'm not sure. Can I say, I know in this class or in this training, can I still say, I don't know what to, but I want to do something. I want to start something, but I don't know what is best for me to get money. So is it a valid question? Is it still a common situation? People like me?
Of course. I think that there are many different reasons why people start businesses, and Patrick, I think, touched on it with the revenue model slide, where he was intersecting kind of what are you good at, what are you going to make money from, what is your passion, what does the world need, and where all of those things intersect. Wanting to start a business because you want to be financially independent is a perfectly valid reason to start a business. Sometimes that desire and kind of that want to kind of craft that life for yourself can come before the service or product that you're going to launch. That's okay. But I think what's important in which case is being clear about why you want to start your own business and kind of going from that framework. So if it is, which it is for most of us, it's important that, you're able to, be self-sufficient and earn a certain amount of money to survive within a certain amount of time. Well, that's got to be a really clear part of your building blocks in terms of making that plan. Some people are a lot more comfortable with a bigger risk, and they'll want to go out with a great kind of big, kind of shiny, sparkly idea and kind of raise funding for that. And, that's how they start their business. Well, that's fine too. There isn't just one distinct way and one valid motive for starting your own business. So, I think it's perfectly fine to kind of know that you want to start something, but don't quite know exactly what it is other than your kind of broad skill set of, I assume you come from an IT background. Yeah. So this is something you're used to, which is a great kind of place to start from.
Cool. Thank you, Michelle.
So maybe for you, as you go through this process, you'll be thinking about the different frameworks, and your idea will come and it will be refined as you go through these 8 weeks.
Thank you.
Cool. Does anybody else want to jump forward with their idea? Monica, I know you said you're fairly far down this planning process. Do you want to take us through your business idea?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Go for it. Be brave.
Okay, so the whole concept is crowdsourcing content creators in the creative industry to provide knowledge, information, and support to up-and-coming creatives. And basically, the way the idea started out is I've been a creative and I've been in Australia for about 20 years. And in that time, I've started so many different projects, different businesses, and having to find the information by myself and just, go down rabbit holes. And I say I've started and failed in so many different things, but it started and learned in so many different ways. Yeah. So I just feel like I've gathered enough information to kind of put together something like sort of like a journey of where to get started and find information. But instead of building it by myself, in that time, I've also come across people who are creating their own content or have gone through their own journey. So putting a platform together where I'm bringing people who've got the information and people who need the information in the one space.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you need to build a online platform, a tech platform to serve this. Okay. Are you from when you say you're from a creative background, are you from a tech creative background or a kind of more, okay.
Yeah.
So you'll need someone to help you with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether that's a co-founder or whether it's someone that you pay to build your product for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And do you have a preference?
What do you mean a preference?
A preference as to whether you have a co-founder, which would mean you share the equity of the business. It won't be 100% yours, but you may not have to pay the cash value of what that person would bring into the business versus deciding that you were going to pay someone just as in a commercial supplier arrangement to build this platform for you.
I think, that's a really interesting question, which I haven't thought of in that much in depth. But at this stage, I feel like it's a personal journey because it's also a passion project of mine. So I feel like I'd rather pay somebody just so that I can go go down the path with where I believe it to be. However, having said that, those are just initial thoughts. As I go down, things might change because there's obviously capital that's needed in that. So whether that's in the form of an investor, so that will take shape as we keep going down. But because it's not purely a business project, that's why part of me feels like I'd really love to kind of go down the track of at least setting it up.
Yeah. And when you say it's a passion project, is it something that you want to kind of grow? I kind of hate the word, but that you want to be a side hustle whilst you do your main job, or do you want this to be your main?
So always think about it from the perspective of, okay, now that you have done some desktop research, you have done, reading materials. Now is to talk to real life humans, either as your potential customer or people working in the industry, for example, people who are providing that service providers, whatever, just get a feel of the market, Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have done a bit of background, so it's like, I'm a bit embarrassed about it, but all right. The trouble that I've been in, it led me into being incarcerated. Yeah. So being inside, I got to know a lot of different people. There's a lot of people in jail that are looking for solicitors. Now, they all had the same problem that I had. There's even solicitors that are going around saying to people, this one bloke he got hundreds of people. He said to one person, if you can give me a legal aid grant, that means the government, if they apply for it through the government, they get him the grant and it goes to that solicitor. And because people in there are looking for a private solicitor, they jump at the chance. And he said, if you do this, I'll give you $100.
Okay.
And because he kept giving people $100, he kept getting more and more people to as clients. Yeah. But he turned out to be a shit solicitor. So people got worse. They're already inside, and then they end up with a shit solicitor, and there's no background checks that they can do on these people.
Yeah. So can I pick on that and ask you, what is the one key problem that you see there? Just tell me one key problem.
The one key problem is that there's nowhere people can go to validate, what do you call it?
But you were talking just now that people were bribing that lawyer to use that. Is that the problem then? Is that because of funding issue?
No, that lawyer was saying to people, I'll give you $100 to put in your account to buy food if you get me to represent you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's bribing that. Okay, cool. Now the question then becomes, if you're assuming your target audience are people already in behind bars, how are they going to look at that access to the information?
No, people have all got family and friends out there that can get access for them. They've got money for them to get lawyers.
Cool.
And that's what I'm saying. Nobody knows where to go to find a good lawyer unless you ask someone. Everybody in there saying,
sure,
well, you know a good lawyer? Oh, yeah, I know a good one. But that's all there is. And if you go on the website, all there is just reviews from people putting on there or the companies themselves.
Yeah. So how are you going to validate the lawyer's reputation if it's not by review?
Off their statistics. Their past statistics in their courts that they've been through.
Okay, where you can get that information now?
There's a few websites out there that lawyers have got access to that we can get access to for the information about.
Nice.
Yeah, because I have a lawyer friend and I asked him as well, and he told me that there's nothing like the idea that I want is out there, and he said it's actually a good idea.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. No, can I just challenge you? Yeah. Between now and next week or the week after, find 20 people and talk to them. Apart from where you have lawyers, so you can give a group of people, lawyers who are in this space, potential clients, even their families, and just have a chat to them about this pain point that they have, finding reputable lawyers who at who can help them in their problem, because it's a very specific problem, isn't it? That you don't want any Tom, Dick, and Harry lawyer, right? You want a lawyer that is specialized in a particular area, isn't it?
And I mean, it goes across all different things, not just criminal, like immigration.
Okay. But I want you to think about. I want you to think about. Remember, I said, like Amazon's, idea. Focus on one niche first. I want you to think about a niche, and we'll come back to you after this, right?
Yeah.
I want you to just focus on one pain point, one small target group, and do it well first. Okay, then you can expand it. George, do you have anything to say here?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's one way to do the brainstorm, and I think the idea is that definitely is very meaningful. I can understand, just like it's so hard and for anyone, and to find if we have in disputes, it's always good if we can find someone reliable and solicitor. But the problem is it's not cheap, and the government also provides some free legal service, but either long queue or again, and maybe the quality of service is not that good. So the website to helping us to people to select appropriate and the lawyer definitely is a good idea. But then the question is just like, how can we make it become kind of more manageable and project? It's not only for the audience, it's also maybe for ourselves. For example, and if we, just now you mentioned, if you think the audience should be focused on, for example, all the immigrants and have immigration problem or employment problem. In that case, and that website even can be simply focused on the will recommend some good lawyer, and specialize in, for example, labor law and immigration law. So in that case, that became kind of one feature of your website. And then you also can think about it, maybe it's all kind of manageable, because different lawyers, they all focus on different aspects, particularly for the law firm. If you go to any big law firm website, they have different groups, and the corporate law group and IP group, data protection group. And so that's the question. And when we build up the website, we need to think about, shall we narrow it down, or we focus on particular area? And the second one, and is also something maybe we can think about, is when we say recommend good lawyer, and how can we define good?
Good, yeah.
Good, and certainly, if one case for me, good knowledgeable law, and that can be one indicator. But on the other hand, sometimes maybe, for example, if we come from other countries, maybe we simply want to find a solicitor who can speak the language or native language. So then maybe that's also one of the evidence and or criteria for the goods. And because some maybe the English-speaking lawyer, they perform extremely well, but maybe they cannot communicate very well with the clients. In that case, their credibility will reduce. It's not because they know, it's simply because of language. So when we design a project, maybe we also need to think about that. It's not a bad thing, because that can be a feature. We can convert the negative trigger and to the positive trigger, for example. And maybe that's one of the reasons why people come to your website, because they want to find some lawyer have some special capability to help us to solve the problem. Just a quick comment. Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Josh. Right. I'm just conscious of time, and I'll give everyone some airspace. Can I get Piola to tell us what she wants to do and what ideas does she have?
Yeah, hi. Well, I'm back to Australia since early this year, and one thing that definitely miss is the fresh food. So fresh but cheap fresh food. So just trying to figure out, I was talking with Sabrina before, and just trying to find, it's impossible that Australia has really fresh food and veggies and fruit. So I would like just to try to go soon to the north, and to the north of New South Wales, and just try to bring veggies and fruit, or try to find a supplier. And our model is just similar to these franchise booths, juice. similar, but just make a twist and just more, let's say, different flavors, and just to be more in the street in a state that in the supermarket.
So it's like, so you're talking about juice boost, is it? Something to that effect?
Something similar, yeah. Something similar. We don't have clear yet, but with better access to the public. Not that big. We don't want to be a franchise. We like that will be the goal to start selling franchise, but at least the image or the image that will have this business will be more handmade, like more homey, not like that too much industrial like already is Boots. Boots is just too big, too massive. We want to just do something more personalized.
Okay, cool. Have you had have you got people to taste do you have a recipe, or you were trying to figure out the recipe?
Yeah, we have some, but just between, my close family or just close friends that we can see each other. But yeah, we have this, we give a go. But I have a little thing with this, it's a lot of waste when I do the juice. So that's a big concern for me, because I just don't want to waste, like you just get the liquid and then you leave all the like puree of really healthy. So I'm also trying to figure out what to do with that puree to don't throw to the garbage bin. Just to
Don't companies do anything with those kind of things? Are they not in practice?
Excuse me?
Are the companies trying not to use those pulp to do something? Maybe jam or something?
Exactly. Yeah. Jam as well. I did something, but it didn't taste good. I did something with celery.
Yeah. Okay. So can I just ask you, Pearl, who are your customers?
The first customer, the top customer, will be people that's for sure that has the money but don't have maybe the time. So they just want to grab something healthy and start working. That's
because the thing is that if you Google a lot of things are saying that a lot of products and service, drinks say that they're healthy.
Yeah.
How are you going to differentiate yourself from there?
Yeah, I have troubles with that before, because every time, when I go to a restaurant, I say, do you have natural juice? And they say yes, and they just bring me a bottle with 20% of orange juice and say, this is I want to ask if you have orange, just a squish. Just give me that if you have. And they never found here in Australia. Never get anything like that. So it's just that's my trouble.
So the question then becomes, what is your problem statement is still quite big. What juice are you going to look at? And who are your target audience? How are you going to sell it? And how are you going to make money out of it? You know what I mean? Unless you have kind of worked out the value chain, from getting the items. Because getting the items is one thing, it may be costly. So you need a supply.
Problem.
Yeah.
At the moment, that's the main problem, that it's expensive. Even if you buy whole buy, like a bank, it's still expensive to find. So with my partner, we're just thinking to make a trip to find what's going on in the north of Australia, if we have chances or no, we don't have chances to find fresh veggies and fruit. So
is there any way that you can focus on a particular thing? It could be not juice, but you can do veggies, for example, or you can do, because if you Google, there's so much juice around that I'm not sure whether.
Plenty, but I want to compete with those from the shelf. That because in the shelves in the supermarket you see all these already in a bottle, but already inside of the supermarket. So our strength is to be in the street, just handy, quickly, just be in a small booth in the streets, something more handy that you don't need to go to a supermarket or to a 7-Eleven or to any shop where you can get anything, but something more quickly, that you just grab quickly just to go.
The idea is to have partnership with cafes. If you have partnership with local cafes itself, popular,
that's a good idea.
You put it out there, you start from there,
Yeah.
and then you build up. So you build up the local clientele.
Yeah.
And if they like it, then you go into more stores.
Yeah. So I was just thinking along the lines as what Kumar said. If you have got a local market, a local market near your place that you can, or around your place, you can set up a booth there first, sell it under a brand, and then check customer response to yours. Have a chat to them. Talk to your customer. We talked about it earlier on. Talk to them and see whether they are, your idea will take off. Speak to, as Kumar said, speak to a local cafe. Then you supply locally first. Don't go into supermarkets yet. Build up your local clientele around where you live so that it's manageable. And once you get enough traction, have a twist around it. Don't just have another orange juice, because you know what I mean. So if you say it's something healthy, then find a unique a twist to your healthy products, so that people will say, yeah, this is something unique. It's not something I can buy in Coles or Woolworths, that will differentiate you from the competitors. And then you sell it locally, bottle it, and then slowly build up the recipe. And then if the local cafes or the local milk bar can carry it, that's fine. Then you can test the market, test the pricing for your products. Do it at home first. You don't have to, so you can do it small. One thing that you may need to consider is the legal regulatory issue. You need to speak to your local council. Each council has its own rules about doing food production in your own kitchen. So I know that my local council here has a web page that talks about food production in homes. So can you, this week make an appointment with the local council and say, look, I want to do this, and just find out what are the legal regulatory stuff. Number one, then talk to your local, say, Rotary Club members. Any local Facebook community, look at cafe owners, just go and ask them, hey, look, I'm thinking of doing a product like this, would you consider putting it as part of your selling it on your, if they say no, then you got a problem, you know what I mean? If they say yes, then it's great. Or you go to a local farmers market, for example, set up a store there, and then you can kind of sell your ideas there, thing. Josh, do you have anything to say, Josh?
I would like to add Patrick. One more thing. I would like to add one more thing is just try this twist is, our niche is refugee, migrants, and indigenous. So if you try to sell your product, if your product is made by hands of, refugee, migrants, and indigenous, people like that idea. So you can put that in the local markets, put a sign through, and employ those people.
Yeah. So you can put a social entrepreneurship
absolutely
to that. So you say this is done by migrants. The profits are going. Part of the profit will go back to help local communities.
Yeah.
It's a very successful model here. There is a business out there in Newtown in Sydney, Social Outfit. Have a look, Social Outfit. They're very successful.
Okay.
And, as per the name says, they make jackets, etc. And a lot of MPs, etc. MPs and successful business people, they proudly wear those jackets and they show it on social media. So it's a win-win situation. These people are selling it, saying that this is done by refugee, migrants, indigenous people. So that's a selling point there, and those MPs, etc., they're wearing it, saying, okay, they're supporting the local communities and people, those who need help. So this is a good twist into the story if you wanted to try that.
Okay,
that's a good one. What is?
Sorry, I'm just conscious.
Social.
Kumar, can you just put it onto the chat first, and then I'll just ask George to give his comments because we got 2 more people to finish. If you can just put the URL there. George, do you have any comments, George?
Just to make it short. And first, I like this idea. Absolutely. And if we have some very special healthy drink and iron heavy, and also I think the Kuma and the Patrick and already provide some good idea about how to start it and how to test it. I think it's very important because the reason is in very beginning stage, and we do need to make sure and we have a good market for that. And sometimes, actually, it's not just testing the product, whether the product good or not. It's also helping us to develop the product. For example, and whatever Chinese food, Thai food, and we can see they all taste different from the food in Thailand sometimes. The reason is because once they enter the Australian market, they have to do some small adjustment. For example, the Thai food I bought in Bangkok when I worked there, and the whole portion is very small, only maybe 1/3 of the portion in Sydney. So that's some adjustment they made. And also, here I just want to make one more short comment, and leaving a bit of time is I totally agree the idea don't promote the product from, for example, Coles, Woolworths, big supermarket. And it's always good if we start from some small store. The reason is because the big supermarket, normally they will not pay you and then selling the product. They will charge you for they call it slotting fee to rent the shelf in the supermarket, and that will be a big investment for you. And but if we start with some small store, even that will be actually can save a lot of money. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sabrina, can I just ask you to tell us your idea?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Sabrina. I'm from China. I'm currently practicing as a solicitor in Central Coast. And the business I'm interested to start is importing mushroom source from China. And it's canned mushroom sauce. Currently, I have 6 different flavors, and I have products ready in China. What I found stuck with is to do the legislation compliance. I haven't got 2 permits from the Department of Agriculture and Water. Yeah, that's where I start. And I found it's a huge project for me to do the legislation compliance because it's food. The legal requirements are very strict. So I'm thinking probably engaging with importation agent. But I'm not sure whether it's worthwhile to invest because it's food industry. The profit is much as good as other importation business.
Yeah. Can I just ask you, Sabrina, have you tested that product with local markets? Is there a big demand for it?
Currently, I only found one similar mushroom sauce at Coles in the Asian food section. That's the only product I found on the Australian market.
Question for you. Have you thought about the reason why there's only one similar product in the shelf? Because it could be that there's no demand and so they don't carry it. Versus if you got 10 different brands, then there's a big demand. Does it make sense?
Yes, definitely. I'm not too sure the reasons, but my guess is food importation is hard in Australia because of legislations.
Sure.
If any risks to public health, you could be jailed for 10 years.
Sure. Can I just ask you, have you spoken to the shopkeeper and asked about that particular product that they sell? Have you spoken to them?
No, I've spoken to.
I would have a change basically. So
what are your key challenges there?
Key challenges. So I'm still testing a lot of things. Like I've got a business mentor teaching me how to do a coaching business properly. So basically, I audition people more than I try to find it. So when I get a lead, I go through an audition process to see if they're a good fit or not for me. If they're not a good fit, then I can't help them. So it's just kind of like I find the people that really need that kind of service. That's saying that, that's just been really have to be selective. Just need to find the people's pain points, like why they're struggling so badly. Is it because of their communication skills or the way they like present themselves in a way? I guess you really need to find a pain point and really ask deeper questions.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've got a really good foundation there, Sam. And I think it's like, what areas of your business can you enhance? Could it be the content? Could it be how you're distributing your products, or marketing it? Are you understaffed? Do you need more people to help you deliver those programs? Can you scale? Can you scale your own product? Is that what you want to do? Because some people, they want to have, like you said, an academy. So I assume there's going to be multiple people going to deliver these sessions. It's like, how does that look like to be built out? What is your action plan? Like, how many? I think the timeline for you is going to be useful. Like, where do you see yourself in six months? Have you brought on 50 new clients? And then what does that mean from your time perspective? So yeah, just more questions to ask you, really, because I think you've got a good foundation. Monica, do you have anything to add for that as well?
She's muted.
Oh, she's moved.
Muted. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just talking to myself, Sam. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
No, I was just wanting to check. I think, Sam, that's a really good idea. And I think you already tested kind of it. You've got 15 people. And like what Sid is saying, the foundation is pretty strong. So I also wanted to check whether you also, or you already having a business model in terms of how is it making money? Like, are you, what's the kind of fees that you're charging? Is that already happening? Or it's also like you're giving a free course at the moment? How's your business happening currently?
Well, with everything so I started off startup, giving a couple of like free sessions, free coaching. But now, after I did that kind of beta testing with people, and then I started to charge. So basically, I charge a couple of $1,000 for, like, say, a couple of months program. So level one month, level 2, 3 months, and level 3 is 1 year coaching program, and each of them has different costs. Relating to how they want to improve on their skills. So if I see that if they're very desperate to improve on their social skills because that's what they lack, they feel lonely, they feel they can't connect with anyone, and it's really making them depressed in a way. So that's why I put them in. I recommend like a level for them to join. So it's kind of like a system, like put in like a system so they can choose whatever they want. But of course, I really want to upsell. So they get the most out of it, out of this coaching business. Yeah.
Cool. So you already have some clients or people who are paid it. So I just wanted to understand whether it is still in the trial phase or you already have clients who are already paying for your courses. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, still in a trial and error process at the moment. So hopefully when COVID finishes, like it'll be much easier for me, like to coach, like make them more because mine involves getting them to be more practical, to be going out there to communicate, like go to networking events, meet people. And now, like, COVID is a little bit backed up, but luckily, like the COVID restrictions are going to ease, so it makes it a little bit better for me, for my business.
Okay, that's great, Sam. Thank you for sharing. And I think we just have 15 minutes. We got a message. So we still have some participants. So maybe we can structure it a bit. So if you can just talk about your business, any challenge that you're facing and any guidance that you need from us. So maybe if we can just build around these three and maybe structure that, then we can utilize our time. Someone who wants to go next? Or else I can pick. Sanjeev, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. So the people, I think we have done the similar sort of session in a last breakout. So some of the common participants, so I won't waste too much time on that. But my business is existing business that provide the project control services. It's a planning, costing, change control, risk management, and all the professional services. So my challenges right now is, again, as Sid has talking to our general room there, whether to expand the business and make more commitment and make less money, or you just keep the business short and sharp and small and still provide the value service and then make probably even bigger margin. So there are some opportunities there, like people are just looking for a lot of training, mentorship, all those things, but there are another thousands of people providing the same thing in the world. So my challenge would be like whether to expand the business on those e-commerce sort of background and then provide some more service and offering online and on site, and then how I can differentiate myself, because a lot of other people are doing the same thing. And I'm doing a bit of a volunteer work from the Project Control Expo, and I'm speaking on those couple of webinars. I'm the member of the judges panel and all those sort of things. So I'm just getting myself out there so people know me. And right now at this stage is, I think my personal name is probably more marketable than my zero float business, because people know me and people are giving me the work. My clients are giving me the work because of me and not because of the business. So any suggestion on that?
So I just wanted to first of all had some questions. So how long you've been running this consultancy business, and
it was on and off. So I established in 2013 where I was made redundant. So that's what people do when you are made redundant after 42 years of your age, and then first time you made redundant and you want to do something. So I opened that business. Then I did the consulting assignment for here and there for a while. And then I got opportunity as a staff member for working for multiple future assignments. So I was working on that. So it was on and off. But right now, since last year and a half, I'm full-time focusing on the business and just doing the consulting assignment. And I'm not working as a staff anymore. So now I have got a more freedom of what I want to do and where I want to take my business in the next step.
So I think that is really fantastic, Sanjeev, from my side. And I think Kumar and Sid Kumar has joined and they can always add on. So from my side, I just wanted to say that you have two choices. So you want to really select whether you want to go short and make bigger margin, or you want to really expand your business. Now, again, that's the best person to decide is yourself. And how you're going to do this, some of the tools which we have provided and some of the assessment that you need to do. That's first of all is, I think, setting your goal, your priorities for yourself. That what exactly, even if making it, these are really good tools. Like when you say why, is when you keep asking 5 times why and you get your answer. And it's also important to really pen it down. I think when pen meets the paper, your head is clear. So basically, what goal do you have for yourself? How do you see yourself 5 years from now? Is it something that you are thinking of making it big? Do you have that time for yourself? Do you see a lot of target audience? Do you have the capacity to do that? Or what are your priorities? What are your goals? Like for a person like me, if somebody says, I would say, okay, I want to keep it short. I want to live my life, short goals, short things. So I think it all depends on what you really want from life, and those kind of tools of whys can always help you answer that. So that's my guidance. Sid and Kumar, happy to.
Yeah. Talking about your brand, right? Brand builds over time, and you are the brand.
Yeah.
Do not forget that. So as you continue to work on yourself, you continue to improve yourself on the side. You continue building it. A lot of people, they post things either on their brand first, perhaps do that. And then after, you share that from your own profile.
Yeah.
And on social media, a lot of people say, especially for LinkedIn, in order to continue to reach out to your people, you got to post regularly. I must say, don't post shit, like you got to always create beautiful content, If you don't have something interesting to say, do not say anything, because, what you're saying, that builds up your brand, right?
Yes.
And you continue doing things over and over again. And that becomes some sort of practice. And it's not some sort of practice. That becomes, your aura. That defines who you are. Mm-hmm. One time I heard the news people saying that, like you continue talking about things, whether it's IT or business, etc. And actually, if there is something meaningful that you're saying, and you continue building that, and people develop trust in you. Mm-hmm. When people develop trust in you, not only that you build, but your brand also builds.
That's right. Right?
So maybe you're posting once a week, but try to post often. And in LinkedIn, this algorithm goes on that, you got to post more often. So you have to push yourself a little bit. I mean, I have 16,000 contacts, and I can't reach out, so I can see how many people I'm reaching, because I don't post too regularly, and I don't want to post anything but important and something that I really like. So I don't get to post that often, and my reach is not that great. So something on that point I would like to say is you continue to build on marketing. Put your creative hat on. Whatever makes you happy, like being in the nature. If you can't go into the nature, bring the nature to yourself, on your computer, nice music, etc. Bring yourself to that mood so you become creative.
Yes.
When you're creative, you come up with great ideas.
No
great
problem.
Points, Kumar. Great points. And I'd like to echo also what Monica touched on. Just think about what you want out of life. Some people, like after 10 years pass by, they're like, I actually wanted to spend more time with family, and that's awesome. Or in 10 years' time, it's like, I actually wanted to build something at all costs. It is just unique to yourself, and the only person that's going to decide on that is you. So once you write down what you think is going to make you happy in 10 years, and then that'll give you the answer to like niche down or expand up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks. And I think we've got 3 people left, if I'm not wrong. So maybe let's go quickly. Padma, and then Valentina, and then Michael. Padma, over to you.
Hi, everyone. My business plan is I'm building a education website focusing on the primary school students. Like there are 2 tests conducted for the primary school students. One is opportunity classes and other one is selective class. Like they write in year 4 opportunity classes test to be selected into the gift and talented class, and also the selective test to go into year 7 if it is also a gifted and talented class. So I'm focusing to prepare some mock tests for the kids who are sitting for the tests. Actually, I have been in this field, like I'm a tutor for more than 1.5 years. It's almost 2 years now. So I got into idea like, why don't I make a website out of it? And it can earn like extra money for me. And I don't really need to invest much money on it. Only the website I have to decide, and I have to build and those things. But most of the work I have to do it myself, preparing the questions and everything. It is big task. Actually, I was working on it since 6 months. I think I have to work another 3 to 4 months to finish that one. And I came to Opportunities Australia because I'm just very new to the business field. I don't know any basics about it. So I just want to know each and everything. I couldn't even finish my business plan properly because I am not sure what to fill in the particular things. So even marketing strategies and finance, whatever I need, and many things I need to learn. So that's why I'm here.
Just what I can talk about, I'm sorry we are hard pressed for time, but then what I can talk about it, that is, I think the idea is really good, because what I see here in Australia is that people really want their kids to go for selective classes, and they want to go for gifted and talented classes. So I think if you can prepare those mock tests, help them, that can really flourish very well. But having said that, there are a lot of nitty-gritties to it. So basically, and test it first rather than spending so much of time. Like you said, you've already done 6 months. Maybe have a small set of user base, some mothers that you might know, just test with them free. And also joining Opportunities Australia will get you some more insights when in the further sessions we talk about finance, we talk about marketing, we talk about sales. But so give yourself some time, test, go slow, test first, rather than, that's what we are saying, do not spend your energy building it completely and then thinking probably that was not the right thing for you. So that's kind of my small advice to you.
Thank you, Monica. Definitely will try to implement that. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Valentina?
Hello. So as I mentioned before, my business is like an art business. So I am not only creating like beautiful products, there is like a purpose behind it. So I like to help to, for example, for animal welfare, to the Great Barrier Reefs. I like to help like for a good cause. I have, I think, 3 main challenges. The first one is how to like get to the Australian market, because 90% of my client or customers are Latin American people. So I find it very difficult to get some Australian clients. My second one is like find something or diversify my products in order to not, because I feel sometimes that I burn out and I don't feel like enough money, like don't get enough like incomes, because most of the products is like hand painted. And then the third challenge is sometimes I look, for example, some Australian artists, and I feel they charge like a lot more than me. So that's why I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Sid, do you want to add?
Yeah. So with thanks, Valentina, for the information. And the art business is very difficult because it is like a brand. It is a brand. People buy your art because you have a specific subjective like uniqueness to it. And art, people just buy art irrespective of the price, just because they need to have it. Like art speaks very deep to people. So that's why people spend tens of millions of dollars or something. So it's like where you're pricing your product is going to be important. You have to ask these questions, and it may be tough. It's like, why aren't you pricing it similar to the other guys? Is it because, and then that's a question you have to ask, why, and then why, and then why. And then you can also test. Is like, maybe I really like this piece of art. I'm going to try and price it up to here and see what happens. So don't be afraid to test it. Like increase your prices as well.
Yes, I've been doing that lately.
720. I've got some advice too. I'm sure you go to markets, right?
Yes.
A lot of artists do that. Another thing was going into some pubs, etc., pubs and restaurants, the popular ones, and get them to buy that. So even if you were to sell that at a cheaper cost, you get the rights to put the art right in the center of thing, putting your ad there, right? So, artist, your name. So you might be selling that at cheaper cost. So, you go to all the important busy areas, the local cafes and restaurants, etc. This is the way you start to build your name. And yeah, that was one of the core. So, you can go to similar businesses like that and then get them to hang your art. I've seen some of the artists doing that, and, make sure to advertise that. And then, of course, you can also run a bit on social media, Facebook campaign, etc. A little bit of paid. Facebook is, I think, the cheapest advertising platform, and it's one of the most effective.
Because I've tried a couple of times doing like Facebook campaigns, but I didn't get any result. I even pay for that, so it's quite tricky.
I will hang around with you, so we'll try to support you as much as we can. So, yeah.
To address one of your other challenges as well, you said 90% of your client base is Latin American. It may be where you're marketing and where you're building awareness. So to tap into a more of Australian market, and we can talk about that in marketing session. But yeah, are you advertising on the right platforms and in the right areas? So we can talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And who was the last person?
Michael.
Awesome. Yeah, just briefly touch what's the key point. So I think the challenge is user adoption. There are so many choices for user. You can, like, if you build applications, you can sell these. There's problem of like competition in the I think also the business plan, we briefly planned, but I think all the plan need to be kind of readapt to the market when we test it. So I think in terms of like doing MMP and also further point, I think in the question sheet is have you validated? I think the problem is it's being validated, but there's so many choice. People there scan, so lots of people can have different views. But when we talk about new technologies, people like there are different kind of new things when people adopt. There's different mindset when you think of like smoking pipes, like e-smoking, and there's like e-energy is like clean energy. People talking about this for ages, but there's I mean, to get this thing into the mainstream, it's still kind of challenge. For people to virtually see these, like use this, is kind of challenge. Right? So those kind of physical art can be very important. So how to transition these mindset, like ask people to own some digital loyalties, digital kind of thing, it's hasn't been solved. So it will be kind of leveraging the ecosystem to see what's going on. But I believe it's running very fast. So there's lots of competitions and kind of.
Yeah, your product is very unique because you work with Andre, right? Andre and Michael, you work together. Yeah, it's very unique value proposition, and it's going to be very difficult to get the mainstream. I don't think that's your customer. So like focus on who you know will adopt and focusing on building your reputation there, because there's a bell curve on user adoption, right? And there's like first movers, and then there's like, the people that come next, and then there's the mainstream, and then there's the late adopters, and then there's people that never adopt. So your customer mindset, they're always going to be the first two sections, first adopters and like, soon, like, I forget the other name, but market to them, just market to them. Breakout rooms closing, but we'll talk about this further, and apologies if everyone didn't get enough time, but there's still 6 more weeks. And, I've left my email details. If you want to ask questions, we'll set up a time to talk.
Thank you, everyone. I think, it has been a really great session. So looking forward to see you in future sessions.
Thank you indeed. Thank you, Monica and Sydney.
Okay.
And Valentina, of course, your questions were more of marketing and sales related. So we'll be covering that in week 4. So week 4 and 5.
Perfect. Thank you.
We'll be in the main group now and give you what's up for the next session.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.